Urgent Birds fan, look at what just happened. Nobody saw this coming, huh? But first, make sure to subscribe to the channel because we bring you daily videos with the latest birds news, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Eagles! Source reports movement on Eagles-Goddard trade. There is not yet movement in terms of Philadelphia Eagles fan favorite Dallas Goedert actually packing his bags and shifting to another NFL city via a trade engineered by Eagles general manager Howie Roseman. But according to an NFL source, there is movement in terms of what the Eagles might accept in trade. The Eagles have been taking trade calls over the course of this offseason with tight end Dallas Goedert as the centerpiece. The 30-year-old fan favorite, who carries a cap charge of over $11 million in 2025, would like to stay in Philly with a contract extension. Philadelphia wants to save money against the cap, a source tells Eagles Today. That while Roseman's original intent was to move Goedert before the draft in exchange for a 2025 pick, that idea hasn't much motivated bidders. So, Philadelphia is changing its trade cost, or at least is willing to do so, meaning maybe they only salvage a 2026 pick for Goedert. Such a move doesn't help the roster, but it would help the cap. And while Roseman has a well-earned reputation for winning the trade, Eagles fans all remember a year ago when it was hoped Philly could get a bonanza by trading edge rusher Hassan Reddick, only to see the Eagles eventually lower their price and shipping the All-Pro to the New York Jets for a 2026 third-round pick. Of course, in the end, the Eagles did win that deal. Here, even if they lower the Goedert trade cost, they can win again. Pausing this news just to say that if you want YouTube to keep recommending the latest Eagles Nation news to you, it's very important that you leave a like on this video. Thanks. Now let's get back to the news. Eagles trade of Devonta for Ramsey hits rumor mill in terms of straight-up talent evaluation. We get it. The rumor would have the Philadelphia Eagles send star wide receiver Devonta Smith to the Miami Dolphins in exchange for three-time All-Pro cornerback Jalen Ramsey. But the devil is in the details. This speculative trade would ship Smith, who was the Eagles' former first-round pick 10th overall in 2021, to Miami in exchange for Jalen Ramsey and his $72 million contract. Issues? The Eagles now boast an impressive young cornerback rotation that includes Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, backed by new add Adoree Jackson. The need there is not glaring. Trading Smith would meanwhile create a void in Philadelphia's offense. Smith as the sidekick alongside A.J. Brown works, and disrupting that Super Bowl chemistry with quarterback Jalen Hurts would seem unwise. Ramsey remains a high-caliber performer, but Ramsey's contract is the reason this is a discussion item. And it's an albatross for Miami. Smith is 26, Ramsey is 30. That doesn't work either. Philadelphia trading Dallas Goedert to somewhere? That's real. Wishing to dump Bryce Huff in trade? Real. General manager Howie Roseman undermine years of roster construction and offensive flow for this? Eagles fans should not be concerned about this rumor. Eagles defender will be expendable after the NFL draft. One of the biggest strengths of the Philadelphia Eagles during their championship run last season was their defensive line. With Milton Williams, Jalen Carter, and Jordan Davis leading the way, the Eagles were able to pressure Patrick Mahomes and defeat the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. While Williams and edge rusher Josh Sweat left in free agency, the Eagles' cupboard is well stocked in the trenches heading into next season, but general manager Howie Roseman is always looking for ways to evolve, and the next step could come during the 2025 NFL Draft. With a crop of talented defensive linemen available, it could be tempting enough for Roseman to pull the trigger. That could make one of the cornerstones of the defensive line expendable once the draft concludes and gives Philadelphia an interesting trade chip in the coming weeks. Eagles could look into trading Jordan Davis. During NFL Draft, Davis is the one Eagle that could become expendable going into this year's draft. A first-round pick in 2022, the 25-year-old has been a serviceable member in the trenches, appearing in 47 games and making 39 starts. The Georgia product had his best season in 2023, making 45 total tackles with 5 sacks, but his play dropped off in Vic Fangio's scheme with 27 total tackles and 1 sack. Fangio may have had a different role for Davis compared to his first 2 seasons under Jonathan Gannon 2022 and Sean Desai 2023. but his role as a rotational player with 444 total snaps suggests the Eagles may not be willing to pick up his fifth year option or negotiate a second contract as he enters the final year of his rookie contract. This is where things get interesting. Williams was more productive, 54 pressures and 5 sacks, and became the top defensive lineman in this year's free agent class, but the Eagles weren't willing to pay him, allowing the New England Patriots to sign him to a 4-year, $104 million contract. Davis could get to that point with a big 2025 season, however, and leave Philadelphia in a similar situation. In the case of Williams, the Eagles are projected to get a 2026 third-round pick, according to Over the Cap's compensatory tracker. But they can be proactive if they know they're not going to trade Davis and get something in return. This would benefit the Eagles in a few ways. First, Roseman could add to the 8 picks he has in this year's draft, allowing him to move up and down the board to get the players he wants. It could also allow the Eagles to select a prospect from this year's class, which has 7 interior defenders ranked in the top 50 on Pro Football Focus's big board. Finding a younger and cheaper alternative in the long run could help the Eagles continue to shuffle their deck ahead of next season and leave Davis looking for a new home, whether it be during the draft or after his rookie deal expires. The Eagles are in trading A.J. Brown to the Patriots for Abdul Carter. The talk of the Eagles trading A.J. Brown to the New England Patriots is nonsensical. As a disclaimer, before we even get started here, I'm a little mad at myself for even giving this the time of day. Having said that, someone at WEEI in Boston, which is kind of like their WIP, reported from a source that the Eagles would try to trade A.J. Brown and a bunch of additional draft picks to the Patriots for the number 4 overall pick if Penn State edge rusher Abdul Carter fell that far. Earlier today, a little birdie with some really good intelligence, well-sourced phone call came to me to offer this possible scenario. If somebody we wanted the Patriots to select very badly, Abdul Carter, were to fall to 4th, and I know this scenario is slightly unlikely. If he were to fall at 4th overall, how would you feel about a certain team that recently won the Super Bowl calling up your New England Patriots in desperation and want of Abdul Carter and offering a certain wide receiver who has admitted that he loves New England and would love to play for the Patriots and possible more selections in a blockbuster draft day trade? That's right. I got a call earlier today saying that the Philadelphia Eagles really want Abdul Carter, and that they would consider, or rather that they are planning to call your New England Patriots on draft day if Carter falls to 4, to see if Mike Vrabel would like a reunion of A.J. Brown and possibly more draft selections and compensation to come. So there you go, folks. There is your latest pick, number 4 rumor. It is a good one, and I thought that I would chum the waters today for the pick number 4 dialogue. A.J. Brown and more compensation possibly to the Patriots if Abdul Carter falls to 4. First of all, good lord, I loathe everything about the presentation of this report, LOL. This dude stretched. I heard the Eagles would like to trade for Abdul Carter and are willing to part with A.J. Brown to get him into an extremely annoying 228-word speech, complete with sourcing, a little birdie, and 2 mentions of your New England Patriots. Is this what Boston radio is like normally? If so, that is insufferable. We can ignore that trading A.J. Brown makes no sense for the Eagles at all from a roster perspective, and just skip right to the part where the Eagles have a little under $12 million in cap space, per the NFLPA's daily salary cap report. Trading Brown would cause the Eagles' 2025 salary cap commitments to rise by more than $12 million, putting them over the cap and making it a procedural impossibility, even if such a trade made any sense. Apparently, WIP picked up on the report and gave it credence by discussing with listeners whether or not they'd do that deal really, guys, leading to some of my readers asking if there was anything to it. Anyway, WEEI did not present it as fictional discussion. They presented it as sourced info. So I did dig a little to make sure I wasn't missing anything from a financial perspective, and can confirm that this report is pure fanfic and poorly thought out fanfic at that. Congrats on the engagement. The Giants make trade call on rivals, star pass catcher on the surface. The New York Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles are supposed to hate each other. But what's that old saying, courtesy of military philosopher Sun Tzu? Keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. And maybe when it comes to a pass catcher trade, the 2 NFC East rivals might, for just a moment this week, become both enemies. And friends, New York has a need at tight end. Last year, rookie Theo Johnson contributed 29 catches for 331 yards and a touchdown. The Eagles are trying to dump a tight end. Last year, Dallas Goedert only played in 10 games with 42 catches, 496 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But he's a high-quality performer, who Philly has deemed to be too pricey. Is this a match? According to one report, New York is monitoring a potential trade for Goedert. The Giants have looked into the idea, so they are making the call here, one way or the other. Call the Eagles as GM Howie Roseman's price is reportedly shrinking. Call it off and stay confident in Johnson's development. This is an $11 million decision, basically to take on Goedert, based on where this franchise is under GM Joe Schoen and Coach Brian Daboll, both hot seat candidates. Are they in go-for-it mode? The final call is coming. Eagles 4 trade rumors to watch. Jay Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert. Bryce Huff, there are an assortment of crazy offseason storylines surrounding your Philadelphia Eagles, and as the NFL draft approaches, we are here to jump into the eye of the storm to separate fact from fiction regarding 4 headliner names. A.J. Brown days after Brown showed a video celebrating the arrival of an autographed Patriots Julian Edelman jersey number 11, a Boston radio station misunderstood Brown's online prank suggesting a trade and reported swap talk as fact. I got a call earlier today that the Philadelphia Eagles really want Abdul Carter, and that they would consider, are planning to call your New England Patriots on draft day if Carter falls to number 4 to see if Mike Vrabel would like a reunion with A.J. Brown and possibly more draft selections and compensation to come, a host reported. But it was an A.J. prank, and he clearly said so. The Eagles would owe Brown over $30 million in dead cap this offseason if they were to move him at all. It's not the plan. Devonta Smith. This was triggered by gossip that Philly would flip its number 2 receiver for Jalen Ramsey, who Miami is trying to dump. And why are the Dolphins done? Because they don't want to pay the aging Ramsey his $72 million contract. The Eagles will pass for the same reason. Bryce Huff. This is the real deal. The Eagles want a taker. Any taker. Huff might experience a sack. Rebirth elsewhere. It didn't happen here. The asking price is low. Dallas Goedert. This is the real deal, to an ugly reality, as we term it below, but it's trickier. Goedert remains a talented contributor, but GM Howie Roseman needs to shed salary. Eagles fans, and maybe the Eagles themselves, need to be unemotional about this. But they also need to win the trade. Easy prediction? A Philly trade is going to happen before the draft, and a few more will happen while on the NFL draft clock. Amid a bunch of fiction, that's fact. And now, Birds fan, I want to hear from you. What's your opinion on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I don't know. If you know this, but your opinion matters a lot for Birds, I'll be back any moment with more Eagles Nation news. Fly, Eagles, fly.